Hey, how's it going? This is 724 Sports. Just real quick, I wanted to talk about that 75th NBA anniversary team and the players that got picked and the ones that didn't. I know a lot of people are up in arms about some of the guys that got picked because of like the era and thinking some guys from this era are better now. But the only thing, in my opinion, issue with that is like the Bob Cousy's of the world. I don't know who would have an opinion for him not being picked. You look at those numbers and you look at those stats for his era. Some guys like that should be on there. There's some notable snubs. Some guys that come to mind: Alex English. This guy's an 8-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA. Has averages of 21, 5, and 4 for his career. You got Adrian Dantley. Another one that jumps out to me is Alonzo Mourning, 7-time All-Star, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, NBA champion with career averages at about 17 points, 9 boards, and 3 blocks. And if you remember Zoe, he was definitely an intimidating defender in his time when he played before he had I believe, like the kidney issues. He was a very solid NBA basketball player. Another one that jumps out is Tony Parker. 75 people, 75 best players in their opinion that played, and Tony Parker doesn't make the list. One of the better point guards that ever played, consummate winner. Guy's always been a winner. 4-time NBA champion, Finals MVP, 6-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA second team, 1-time All-NBA third team. Career averages they don't jump off the page. About 15 points and 5.5 assists. But you look at the team he's playing on. He's playing on a Spurs team where, not to say that you're held back, but it's a team. Like if you look at, Tim Duncan's numbers probably could have been more. Ginobili's numbers could have been more. But it's a team where you're playing a total team effort. Like they could have definitely had inflated stats on other teams, but they probably wouldn't have won as much. I know Chris Mullin was another one that people were saying, and even though Chris Mullin was a good player for a stretch, really good player, great player for a stretch, I'm not so upset with that one. Chris Mullin's peak was from about 83 to 93, and he averaged about 25 points a game from 83 to 93. Definitely All NBA's 5-time All-Star, but a Mitch Richmond jumps more out for that than me. And you've got a guy that's 24, 4, and 3 for his career, 6-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA Rookie of the Year, also an NBA champion. I know for many years he was probably the second best shooting guard in the league after Michael Jordan. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of people will say that maybe Reggie Miller was, because Miller was a little bit more high profile, and that Indiana team was, better teams than that team that Mitch Richmond played on in Sacramento. But the Hammer is a notable snub. Was his nickname. The Hammer is a notable snub. Mitch Richmond was a tough two guard in the NBA. He was tough for a lot of years. But it's always going to be some snubs and some things that we don't agree with. The biggest on this list, though, is probably Dwight Howard. And I believe a verbatim quote from him, I think he said it's like borderline disrespectful. And it is borderline disrespectful that Dwight Howard isn't on the 75th anniversary team. He's one of the better centers that ever played. Some people don't like him, and that is what it is. But everything, it's unfortunate that everything turns into a popularity contest instead of just looking at what a guy did on the court. It's almost like, not to switch gears to another sport, but almost like the thing with T.O. Like not no one, but some people don't like him. In some circles, they don't like him, and it keeps the guy from being the first ballot Hall of Famer when we know he's one of the best receivers we've ever seen play. That just that doesn't sit well with me, and this doesn't sit well with me either about Dwight Howard. I mean, let's look at Dwight Howard. You got a guy that's still playing. He's a solid backup at this point in his career. NBA champion. He's an 8-time All-Star. He's a 5-time NBA first team player, 2-time third team player, 3-time defensive player of the year. This guy won defensive player of the year 3 times. He was the rebound champion in the league 5 times. He was the block leader 2 times. Now, to get at some context and not comparing the two, you look at a player like Shaq, one of the best centers, best players of all time. He never led the league in rebounding. Dwight Howard's led the league in rebounding 5 times. You look at Shaq, a guy, he's never led the league in blocks. You got this guy's led the league in blocks 2 times. And again, not saying Dwight Howard is better than Shaq, because that's not what I'm saying in any stretch of the imagination. But I'm saying a guy that does some things or accomplished some things in his career that one of the greatest players in the history of the NBA hasn't done, and to be left off that 75th anniversary team is ridiculous. I know he said it's disrespectful, but I mean, same, but it's ridiculous for him not to make that team. I know Klay Thompson was another guy that people said not as upset about Klay as I am about Dwight Howard. If Klay comes back and he's Klay this year, and he can stay healthy for whatever's left of his career, I mean, I'm sure he will deserve to be on there. But to have Dwight Howard left off that list is yeah, I don't know. It's ridiculous. For him to be left off that list is ridiculous. You have Anthony Davis that's on the list, which I'm sure when his career is all said and done as well, he'll be deserving. In my opinion, Dwight Howard probably has more accolades than him. And him not to make that list, that's just that's a crazy thing. I just don't believe they didn't have him on that list. It's other guys that they have on that list that I simply just don't agree with. You got Bill Walton. Now, don't get me wrong. Bill Walton was a great player. One of the best college players of all time. I know a lot of younger people may like, who the hell is he? Or, was he really that good? He was good. He was a great player, but injuries derailed a large portion of his career. And for him to make it over some of these guys we mentioned is tough. I mean, I do know he was an NBA champion 2 times. He was the vocal point of that Portland team when they won the NBA championship. And then he did have some contributions as the 6th man on that Boston team that won the championship. But, I mean, the peak of Bill Walton's career was like 76 to 78. He averaged about 18 points, 13 rebounds, and 4 assists. Now, granted, 4 assists back in that time in the 70s was that's a pretty big deal for a center. I mean, nowadays, you have guys like Jokic, and you might see that a little bit more often. But for a center to have his basketball IQ and passing skills, Bill Walton was actually a great defender as well. But that was the peak of his career, was those 3 years. He's a 2-time NBA champion, 1-time MVP, 2 All-Star games. Only played in 2 All-Star games in his career. 2 times All-NBA in his career. Only 2 times All-NBA. Because, again, a majority of his career was derailed by injuries. Career averages of 13 points and 10 rebounds. Bill Walton is not a top 75 player in NBA history. He's a top 75 talent in NBA history for sure. But player based on what he did on the court, he just didn't have the longevity or the durability for, in my opinion, for him to be, awarded with something like that. Great player when he was healthy. But we've heard time and time again, the best ability is availability. And he was not really available too much over the course of his career. So I don't know, as far as longevity and what guys did on the court, is probably a lot of guys that you can replace him on that list with. But, I mean, it's all subjective. It's all our opinion. But that is just my take on the 75th anniversary NBA team. Some really, really, really notable snubs. But, I mean, I don't know all the time what's the criteria that goes into these lists. But sometimes they don't get it right, and I definitely don't think they got it right on this one. So I'm wondering what you guys think. This is the first YouTube video I'm doing here on 724 Sports. Just curious on you guys' feedback on some of my opinions that I have about the sport. Looking forward to doing much more videos. Looking forward to interacting and debating with some folks, because when you're giving your opinion, especially on sports, got to give it context. Everything's subjective, and everyone's not going to agree with you. So just looking for some spirited yet respectful debates. Y'all take care. Y'all have a great day. Peace.